Brainchilds here, and it's been a good one. We've been trying to visit with as many college baseball coaches as we can this fall and winter, and we have landed in the middle of the country on a guy who had some real good success in the Horizon League at Wright State, and it's got to be a pretty special experience, and we'll ask our guest about this as we visit with Jeff Mercer from Indiana, to be an Indiana native and now enter your 5th year as head coach of the Hoosiers. Jeff, good morning. Thanks for taking some time with us. Is there additional pressure on you because you're a Hoosier by birth to be the head coach there?
I think anytime you have a chance to represent kind of where you're from, it means a little bit more to you. And my dad coached at Indiana, and I'm from 45 minutes from campus. So I think there's always a little bit more to it, but everybody wants to do a good job at their job. It's just, I guess, when it kind of tugs on your heartstrings a little bit, it makes it more personal. When you look up on the stands and you see your high school football coach there, that does add a different element to the operation a little bit.
Hey, Jeff, congratulations. It's Harold here. Good to see you, man. I love the swag you got going, the Adidas. I don't think we've had an Adidas guy on.
Medium, and large.
Hey, I know a guy. We'll make it happen.
All right. I was going to say, we hadn't had that. But I want to ask you, Matt touched on being a local product coming out of Indiana. We've watched really in the last, I'd say, 10 years, the Midwest really take off. Wisconsin, Indiana. As far as baseball is concerned, it seems like there's been a tap that got opened up. What do you see that happened all of a sudden there?
Well, I think you saw a real investment in the player development aspect of a lot of the off-site facilities and the investment into the weight room, and that the ability for us, the advantage that we have in the off season is those guys are able to get really, really physical. And so when you're on the field playing, it's great. You're really developing your skills on the field. But in the off season, when you're in the weight room, when you're developing the power, the force, and those kind of things, you're seeing that really explode. And then the onset of Grand Park in Indianapolis has really, really helped. So those guys are able to have, world-class baseball from all over the country come right here into Indiana. And it allows us to have that training in the off season and to be able to develop physically. But now we're able to compete against really good players throughout the course of the summer. And I think you're seeing that on the field as well.
Hey, in 2024, UCLA and USC joined the Big Ten. Those are 2 baseball powerhouses. I think it may affect your sport just as much as football. How will that change the conference for the Big Ten?
I think it helps in a ton of ways. It helps from a strength of scheduling standpoint. It helps from an RPI standpoint. And so that kind of the rising tide that lifts all boats, I think it really helps us to try to get that 5th or 6th team into the postseason, because you're playing those high RPI teams now on a consistent basis in your schedule. I think it opens up the footprint as far as recruiting when you're able to get further west, because now those kids that were going to go to those schools now have an opportunity to go to other Big Ten schools and still be able to travel. You're going to play against those teams anyway. And so why not come to an Indiana or an Illinois or some of those programs? So it does open the footprint. I think it's a terrific experience for the Midwest kids to be able to go out to the West Coast and play. It's something that you don't always get to go and do and spend a couple of weeks out there. So from an overall student athlete experience, I think it'll be a lot of fun. From a conference standing standpoint, I think it really helps to elevate us as well. And then from a competition standpoint, when you're playing against really good teams consistently, it helps to harden you and prepare you for the postseason. So I think it's a huge positive, and I'm super excited about it.
Well, I got a bunch of questions for you. We could visit with you forever. First of all, I want to know who that big left-handed hitting donkey was that hit an absolute bomb in that video we saw. Who was that little Jim Thome clone we got going there?
Yeah, you're right. It's funny. It's Matt Ellis, a catcher, left-handed hitting catcher out of Kentucky. And Jim Thome is somebody we talk about a lot with them. And yeah, Matt right there. And he's a big, strong man. Hit 18, 19 home runs last year, and is a really good player.
Yeah.
But we kind of talk about that. I pulled up several videos of Jim Thome and tried to help kind of guide and steer him in that direction. So it's funny you say that.
I love it.
Why did you say Kyle Schwarber?
Thome was the first image that popped into my mind when I saw that pass. Hey, I want to ask you, too, about your coaching staff, Jeff, because you have a notable on it. one whose life stands to change quite a bit tomorrow if Scott Rowland, in fact, is voted into the Hall of Fame. Talk about having Scott around, the impact he's made on the program in his home state.
Yeah, Scott's just such a wonderful person, and I was fortunate to grow up around Scott a little bit and to get to know him kind of before coming to Indiana. So, you know, he's a great resource as a human being, I think, first and foremost for me as a friend and for our family and then for the program over the last several years to have just his levity and his balance in life, the human being that he is, his character and integrity, all those things. He was a great player. Undoubtedly and deserved of the Hall of Fame, but who he is as a human being impacts the people around him more, and I think that's the thing that he's brought. You know, when he's able to be here is to continue to invest into the personal growth and the development of the kids and who they are, and that's something that he's always impacted me with. So. Just that balance of life and understanding there's really important things, and baseball is one of them, but there's a lot of things that we can go out and be passionate about.
Are you guys going to be sitting around waiting for that announcement, or are we just going to see how Scott reacts? What's the plan?
Yeah. No, we'll be working through practice and whatnot. And Scott, as you guys know, is so low key, and Scott will kind of be doing his thing tomorrow, but we'll be following and cheering for him and excited and waiting with the anticipation. And I hope and I pray that we're able to have tomorrow be a really exciting and a celebratory day.
Hope it happens for him. Hey, before we let you go, if I was a kid interested in going to Indiana, why would I come there to play baseball? Give me your spiel.
Well, I think there's several pieces of it, and I always tell people it's about fit, and the primary function for us is in our education and our player development. And you know, we're a program that's really invested into the high school recruiting. If you look at our 21 classes on beyond, they've all been top 25, and so the ability for us to provide a terrific education and to be able to bring guys in. Give them a direct avenue to compete early in their career, to compete to get on the field, but then to really invest into the player development aspect, and not just in the typical way, but in the weight room and in the diet, nutrition, and our lifestyle. I do enjoy the metrics. I do enjoy the data. I think we have to be careful not to go off the deep end a little bit with it. I think it can become a little bit cumbersome at times, but I think using information to be direct and to know when we make decisions, we're decisive and we can enact those for the betterment of the player. I think you start to look at those things and you're talking about an experience where you can have the best of both worlds in the Midwest. For a lot of kids, they're 3 to 5 hours from home to be able to compete at a national level with a world-class education and a program that's centered around the individual's development as part of the team's overall achievement. I think it's allowed us to have success, and that's going to allow us to have a lot more in the next few seasons.
Jeff, we appreciate the visit. Thanks for sharing some insights on your program. I have circled the name Matthew Ellis because I'm going to watch this dude, man. I'm looking at his page on your bio online. This guy's got pop. He gets on base. Exciting player. Circle him for your fantasy leagues, too. 5 years from now, big league star. That's my call right now, way in advance, but I'm calling it.
He's going to love that.
Hey, we appreciate the visit, Jeff. Thanks again. Best of luck to you and your program.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it, guys. Have a great day. Thank you.
Yeah. We'll take a quick break. When we come back on the Monday Hot Stove, we'll chat with the gentleman who has been instrumental in the birth and growth of the pitch, hit, and run program. And yes, a lot of these big league stars, in fact, every one of them has participated. That's coming up next on the Monday Stove.
Hey. About 8 months ago or so, he was diagnosed with ALS. And so for some of you out there don't know Matt, but a lot of the kids do. For 25 years, he created Pitch, Hit, and Run for Major League Baseball 25 years ago. And he ran the program for 25 years. And it's about 750,000 kids a year that have been touched by this. So he has come across every kid, it seems like, in the country that's played ball. Here's some notable major leaguers that went through the Pitch, Hit, and Run program. Eric Hosmer was one of the first ones to win it. And even as recent as you look at Eric when he was a youngster in '98, look at this picture of him zeroing in on Eric right there. How about that? Goes on to grow up and be a big leaguer. But the beauty of Pitch, Hit, and Run, it was just a family event that was going to grow the game. Here I am at one of their events, and young J.P. Crawford was in this. You don't know what a kid's going to end up being. This is in the national finals that they held the All-Star game. Look at that swing way back there with J.P. And this is J.P. Crawford back when he was coming through pitch, hit, and run. LEJ Sports was the name of Matt's company, which he's most recently dissolved. But his work, that's his wife, Peg, and he's fighting through ALS. And so today we get the chance to talk to Matt. I know the folks over at Major League Baseball offices all know him. He's had an impact on this sport for 25 years. So welcome in Matt Engleka. Matt, my main man, how you doing? How you feeling this morning?
Doing great. Every day is a good day.
Matt, tell us, walk us through the beginnings of pitch, hit, and run, because for every kid who stunk, like myself, that was the moment that we learned we weren't good enough. That's what I remember pitch, hit, and run for. But I want to know from your perspective, when you were kind of creating this, when it was your brainchild, talk about the early days of creating the program.
It was coming after the strike, and baseball was trying to come up with a program and for something, and we were doing pump, pass, and kick for the NFL. So we had a business model in place, and the idea was to put a bat and ball back in kids' hands and to get them out and playing the game of baseball again. And we wanted to take the basic fundamentals of pitching, hitting, and running and figure out how to find the best kids. And it wasn't necessarily about developing players. It was about giving kids an opportunity to play and to participate.
Well, Matt, and I touched on it, was about 750,000 kids every year that participated in this nationwide program. It was more about developing fans. And once you touch them at an early age, they're going to continue on. What were the ages, and how did you end up with the age groups that you felt like were going to be most affected? How did you start with such an early age, and what were the ages?
Well, we started with 7 to 14. The idea is, T-ball is kind of the basic fundamentals of the game. Tony Gwynn, we used to take hundreds of cuts every day before a baseball game, so why shouldn't kids 7 to 14 continue that path? And so that's kind of how the hitting part was developed. And we wanted to group them in 2 age groups. And when they get to 13 and 14, that's when there's a big drop-off in participation. And we wanted to keep those kids participating all the way through their career.
Well, I tell you what, and the program's still going to this day. You can still sign up with Major League Baseball and get involved with pitch, hit, and run in your neighborhood. I got a chance last week. I was in D.C. talking to 1,000 mayors and just promoting play ball, pitch, hit, and run, all those things in their community. So it's been such an instrumental program and so important. When you look back at all these former major leaguers, did you know that Adley Rutschman was going to be a big leaguer, or Hosmer, or all these guys when you came across them when they were young?
Harold, if I was that good at judging talent, I would have had a different career.
That's so true.
Hey, Matt, you know what I'm curious about the program is that as a young fan, pitch, hit, and run really resonates with you. It's those 3 action words. You remember it. The NFL has punt, pass, and kick. Which one was first?
Punt, pass, and kick was until they dissolved it several years ago, but it had a 30-year track record. So hopefully baseball will continue this program for beyond my lifetime.
So, Matt, let's talk about your battle with ALS and why I wanted to have you on and you wanted to come on and talk about it. I know it was about a year ago or so when you were like, man, my legs are tingling. I don't know what's going on here, and started going through all the testing. Can you tell somebody some of the signs and just some of the awareness of things that you've had to go through to battle with this?
Yeah, so probably the most difficult part with ALS, you could put 100 people and line them up, and they will have 100 different journeys. And that's from symptom onset to where it progresses next.